Bugs are weak, early game Pokemon. Sure, they might be good for 1 or 2 gyms, but after that, their usefulness dries up, and then it's time to say bye-bye Butterfree. So, I tried to beat Pokemon Brilliant Diamond under hardcore Nuzlocke rules with only pesky bug types. And hey, click subscribe right now or you'll have bed bugs for a month. It's one click, and it also helps me out. Win-win. Could I conquer the Sinnoh region, or would I be crushed just like a bug? Well, I tried. Here's how it went. To begin, I call myself Bugcatcher and my rival, Mortine. After my mum learns that I have aspirations of becoming a bug trainer, she kicks me out onto the street, unable to stomach the disappointment that I've brought upon the family name. But I was determined to prove her wrong. To do that, I needed some Pokemon. So, I grabbed my trusty bug catching net and marched up to Route 202 where I found a Kricketot. It would serve as my starter for this run. I named it Hopper and pressed onwards to Jubilife City. Bug-type Pokemon have very few redeeming qualities, but one such saving grace is an early evolution. At level 10, Kricketot evolves into Kricketune, a Pokemon equipped with a moustache that commands respect. While its stats are nowhere near top tier, for this early on at least, they are very threatening. Just give me the coupon or I'll turn you into Clown Sashimi, your choice. With this devastating power, I was able to butcher my rival on Route 203 without much trouble. And yes, I gave my rival a Turtwig. I'm a filthy bug trainer. What did you expect? Once in Oreburgh City, I can tackle the first gym, but this poses a problem. Rourke's Rocks will hit my beautiful Kricketune for super effective damage, and I'm outnumbered 3 to 1. So how do we do this? Well, the plan goes like this. Kricketune now knows a move called Fury Cutter, which gets stronger with each successive use. With enough uses, Fury Cutter can reach 160 base power. With that in mind, I was ready for Rourke. I begin landing Fury Cutters, but a problem arises as Geodude hits me with 2 rollouts, putting me at low HP. I know that Rourke has a sturdy Onix in the back, so I'll need to be able to tank a hit. Instead of Fury Cutter, I use Absorb to finish Geodude. Then against Onix, I do the same, which lets me break the sturdy while recovering enough HP to live a Rock Throw. With Onix at low health, I know Rourke will heal, so I resume the Fury Cutter festival and Onix falls in 2 shots. Cratados is last, but can't handle a 3rd consecutive Fury Cutter, falling instantly. That's the first real hurdle for my bugs, now cleared. Heading north of Jubilife brings me to Floroma Town, where I'm finally greeted with the prospect of a second team member. By slathering some honey on one of these golden trees, I've got a chance of encountering a bug type. And sure enough, I found one. A male combi. Only female combi can evolve, so this little guy's usage will be limited to that of sacrificial fodder. A bumblebee bodyguard, if you will, ready to throw himself in the face of a deadly attack for the purposes of prolonging the lifespan of his comrades. I then descended upon the Valley Windworks to show Mars a thing or two. The plan was the same as the battle with Rourke, lead Kricketune and build up steam with Fury Cutter. A U-turn from Zubat into Purugly, followed by a fake out, did complicate this slightly, but this simple yet effective strategy ended up working once again. With both of Mars's Pokemon falling, I was cleared to get a few more encounters. First, in the Eterna Forest, I found a Silcoon. After taking out Cheryl's Chansey with some friendly fire, I was able to catch it. Next, in the Valley Windworks, I was able to catch a Burmy in the Honey Tree. A short trip through the Eterna Forest brings me to Eterna City, where I'll be taking on the grass types of the Eterna Gym. That's a sweet outfit, my man. Respect. I make sure to have Burmy reach level 20 while inside the gym, as this causes it to evolve into a Wormadam with the Trash Cloak. But don't let the name fool you, Wormadam is anything but trash. It now has a Bug and Steel typing, which is only weak to Fire types, and it's not like there's many of those in Sinnoh. It also resists, or is immune to, 9 different types, which is utterly insane. My Bug Bandits and I then rolled up to Gardenia, ready to inflict some pain. My team has an incredible matchup, so it should come as a surprise to no one that I didn't exactly split any hairs over this battle. I lead with Beautifly, who has a 4 times resistance to grass, and 1 Air Cutter blew Cherubi away. Turtwig followed, but it went down just the same. Roserade was a little more troublesome, as it paralyzed me, and Gardenia uses potions to recover. However, I can recover my own HP with Morning Sun. This allowed me to outlast Roserade, eventually landing enough Air Cutters to take it down, earning the 2nd badge. In the Eterna Galactic building, I thought I'd have to take all these grunts down, but they were too preoccupied playing Trove, the sponsor of this video. Trove is a free-to-play action MMO that lets you adventure, explore, and create to your heart's content. You can play as one of 17 different classes in a variety of game modes like building, dungeon crawling, geode caves to collect resources, and delves. I'm a dungeon crawling kind of guy, so I spent most of my time roaming on horseback through some awesome, destructible landscapes, going dungeon to dungeon. I chose the Knight class, so I was getting up close and personal, taking names with melee weapons. Exploring these dungeons is a lot of fun. You have to use movement mechanics like jumping and gliding to parkour through the area while taking down enemies along the way. There's also boss battles which will put your combat skills to the test. Speaking of, the combat system is easy to pick up, but you'll definitely have to master mechanics like dodging to get through some of the more difficult dungeons. On your adventure, you'll find lots of loot as you level up to help you take down stronger enemies. I had some pretty wacky outfits and weapons. At one point, I was charging through the desert, beating up enemies with a cactus sword. I did try and build a house, but let's just say that wasn't my strong point. Although the structures in this game show that someone with a little more talent could definitely build just about anything. Trove is free to play and available on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and the Nintendo Switch. So click the link in the description to download Trove and begin your adventure. What's more, the Eden project will plant one tree for each account that is made, so there's another incentive to check Trove out. Back to the video. What does Jupiter hope to achieve by taking the bike shop owner hostage? New bikes for Team Galactic? Anyway, I'll need to take her on. This battle is nothing short of terrifying. Her skun tank is illegal as it shouldn't have evolved yet, but what more do you expect from a criminal? It also knows Flamethrower, which should send a shiver down the spine of any bug trainers out there. My plan for dealing with this revolves around Wormadam. I know, Keegan, you're a madman. Wormadam is 4 times weak to fire. But Wormadam also knows Quiver Dance, which boosts my speed, special attack, and special defense. Since Zubat can barely touch Wormadam, I'm free to max these stats before taking it down with Confusion. Confusion won't affect Skuntank due to its dark typing, but the special defense boost is really what I'm after. A Bug Bite yoinks Skuntank's Citrus Berry while recovering my own HP. From here, all I can do is fire off Bug Bites. I am risking a crit here, but my options are limited. This strategy works a treat, and eventually, Skuntank goes down, leaving me with enough health to survive its Aftermath ability. That was treacherous, but my bug types are really proving their worth so far. This guy gives me a shovel, and I use it to absolutely bore a hole in the middle of the town. Are you sure this is allowed? Yeah, there is literally zero law enforcement in this region. Do whatever you want. While exploring the Grand Underground, I was able to find my next encounter, Scyther. This guy is an absolute monster. It has a great nature and knows Baton Pass. Usually it can only learn this move through breeding, but Grand Underground Pokemon can know egg moves. Peppy! You don't think my bug Pokemon are cute enough to walk with, huh? I'll show you. Scyther, use Slash! Mortine ambushes me in Hearthome City, demanding a rematch. He has both a flying type and a fire type, so I need to be careful. I lead with Scyther and begin using Double Team. Starly hits all its attacks though, so my HP is quickly lowered. I can't keep setting up, so go for Slash, which knocks it out in one turn. Ponyta is next, and a Technician boosted double hit would be enough to send it packing. Double hit can miss though, and this is why I was boosting my own evasion. Fortunately, it lands the first time, knocking it out. Weasel is next, but one Slash finishes it off. Last is Groddle. It's super bulky, and since my HP is low, I Baton Pass into Beautifly. It's important that I do this immediately, as pivoting my bugs around is much harder after Groddle sets up Stealth Rock. Beautifly strongly resists Groddle's grass attacks, buying me enough time to finish the fight with 2 air slashes. My bugs live to fight another day, not this time, Mortine. On Route 210, this trainer gives me the TM for Roost, which I teach to Scyther. It'll be really useful for Scyther to have the ability to recover HP in battle. Most trainer battles are uneventful, but I thought that this one was worth mentioning. He has a Monferno and Gyarados, which sounds very menacing for my team. With Scyther, I spammed Double Team until my evasion was maxed. Even if Monferno hit me, the rain in this area reduces the power of fire moves, and I can recover HP with Roost. Once at +6, I Baton Pass into Kricketune and begin charging up with Fury Cutter. This means that I'm hitting reasonably hard when Gyarados is sent out. It does land an Ice Fang, but succumb to the power of my almighty bugs. I've now reached Veilstone, and this is a critical point in the challenge. I can buy a stack of TMs, new clothes befitting a bug catcher, and grow some citrus berries. With some upgraded movesets, I buzzed into the Veilstone gym, ready to take on Maylene and her fighting types. My plan here is pretty straightforward. Lead with Scyther, and max my attack with Swords Dance. Meditite can't do much damage to me, so this is relatively free. It does no flash, which would lower my accuracy, but I've prepared for this by giving Scyther the wide lens. This wasn't necessary in the end, and a +6 slash takes Meditite down. Machoke knows Rock Tomb, making it deadly. Fortunately, a boosted slash takes care of it before it even gets the chance. Last is Lucario, and I was meant to knock it out in one turn with Rock Smash, but I forgot to teach the move. So, my best plan is just to continue firing off slashes. Lucario uses Bulk Up on turn 1, but a crit on the next turn finishes the fight. That was a little lucky, but pretty safe regardless. I was underleveled for that fight, as the next gym has the same level cap. Soon after, I'd reached Pastoria and headed into the Great Marsh in search of my next encounter. Bingo. I caught Skorupi and gave it the nickname Rosie. I won't be able to evolve it since Drapion loses its bug typing, but Skorupi can still be useful. For the first time, I had a full team, but I wasn't done yet. I headed downward into the Grand Underground, and with my new Skorupi, used Thief on the Wild Bronzor here. Yoink! Eventually, this yielded a Metal Coat, which allows Scyther to evolve into a Caesar when traded. Caesar is a beast. It ditches the flying typing and gains a steel type, giving it a stack of defensive resists. It's got a huge attack stat and would undoubtedly be the diamond in the rough among my team. And so, I stormed into Pastoria Gym, coming face to face with Crash Awake and his water types. Gyarados is threatening, but Caesar has the defensive capabilities of an old German tank. Crunch doesn't do much damage, allowing me to buff my attack with Swords Dance. It's important that I use Roost to keep my HP above half, as Brine would finish me off if I don't. I carefully manage this, maxing my attack in the process. After Wake heals, a second Bullet Punch can remove Gyarados. Quagsire has more physical bulk, so it does survive a boosted Bullet Punch. However, my defensive typing means that none of its attacks are overly threatening. My speed is lowered by Mudshot, but this is irrelevant since Bullet Punch has priority. Last is Floatzel, and it's the least bulky of Wake's Pokemon. I move first thanks to Bullet Punch's priority, and this gives me the win. Badge number 4 is in the bag. This combo of Caesars would continue to keep me safe as I made the long trip to Celestic Town, before returning to Hearthome for the next gym challenge. Fantini uses Ghost types which aren't exactly known for having a strong defense. They're fast, but Bullet Punch doesn't care about that. I lead with Caesar and begin my Swords Dance setup. Drifblim is determined to lower my attack with Strength Sap, but I can increase my stats faster than Fantini can drop them, allowing me to reach +3 in no time. A speedy Bullet Punch on the next turn is guaranteed to pick up the KO. Gengar is a familiar story, but there's a problem. Its Cursed Body ability activates, which locks me out from using Bullet Punch, my only damaging move. I can't attack with Caesar, and will need a different plan for Miss Magius. Baton Pass not only lets me switch into Skorupi, but it also inherits my attack boost. After comfortably tanking a Phantom Force from Miss Magius, one boosted, super effective knockoff is enough to finish the fight. I guess my team has slightly more depth than just Caesar. A short surf west of Jubilife brings me to Canalave City, where, after another beatdown of my rival, I'm clear to take on the next gym. Except this one presents a unique problem: Steel types. I mentioned earlier that a benefit of bug types was an early evolution, however this is a double-edged sword. The side effect is early obsolescence, as my enemies gain access to more powerful Pokemon. Sure, Caesar is great, but its options against Steel types are limited. The solution? Catch a new Pokemon. My last encounter for this run is Heracross, a strong bug fighting type who I'd love to have on my team. The problem is that it's incredibly rare and can only be found in honey trees. But without many appealing alternatives, it was time to hunt Heracross.
One eternity later.
After a small eternity, I finally found one and welcomed it into the team. After bringing Heracross up to speed, I was now ready for the next gym leader, Byron, and his Steel-type Pokemon. I lead with Wormadam and immediately set up Stealth Rock. The chip damage that this will do on entry to the other two Pokemon will break their sturdy abilities. Bronzor sets up Trick Room, and I need to play around this by executing my plan at just the right time. I stay in with Wormadam for 2 turns, and am hit with Confuse Ray. This is actually what I wanted. It means that on the second last turn of Trick Room, I can switch into Heracross and know that it won't be confused on entry. I am confused on the next turn, but the Persim Berry on Heracross heals this, and I use Swords Dance to increase my attack just as Trick Room ends. I now move first, and can finish Bronzor with a boosted Brick Break. You may have noticed that Heracross is poisoned going into this fight, and this was completely intentional. It activates my Guts ability, boosting my attack even further. The planning that went into the early stages of this fight means that Heracross is now in a position to quickly finish up the last 2 of Byron's Pokemon with a pair of Brick Breaks. That's badge number 6, and we did it without Caesar. Team Galactic turned Lake Valor into a crater, and I'm supposed to hold them accountable? Really? Shouldn't this be handled by like a gym leader, the champion, or I don't know, maybe the police? Whatever, I'll do it myself. Saturn's team doesn't really have much for me, and I take care of business pretty quickly. The Mars rematch is identical, clearing me to head north towards the Sinnoh snowfields. It makes me cold to look at my character in a full-blown blizzard wearing only a t-shirt and overalls. I should have been a fire-type trainer. Eventually, I reached Snowpoint City, and after defrosting, I was ready for the next gym challenge. To prepare, I taught Wormadam Flash Cannon, and gave it the leftovers that I yoinked from a Munchlax in the Grand Underground. Candace has some tough Pokemon, but I've got a plan to completely trivialize her ice types. Her Snover has 3 damaging moves, covering types of grass, ice, and water. None of these are threatening to Wormadam, so it's totally free for me to buff my stats with Quiver Dance. The small damage done by a hail is also recovered by my leftovers, and I reach +4 in my special attack, special defense, and speed stats in no time. With these insane boosts, Wormadam winds up some supercharged flash cannons for an embarrassingly quick sweep. That was brutal. After rolling through the Galactic HQ and hunting grunts like I would the Boogeyman, I headed up to Spear Pillar for a final showdown against Cyrus and friends. The double battle against Mars and Jupiter is strange. They focus their efforts on my rival's Munchlax for the most part, leaving me to increase my attack with Swords Dance. A Roost keeps me healthy, and after that, Caesar is off to the races with a string of bullet punches giving us the win. My rival then just leaves. Gee, thanks. No, it's fine, I'll handle this interdimensional travesty, you just go relax or do whatever you do. Cyrus's plan gets cucked by 3 little aliens, and I'll be dealing the final blow. I'm forced to keep my Caesar lead, but that's just fine with me. The plan is the age-old strategy of using Swords Dance. Honchkrow does land a critical hit Night Slash, however, a Roost helps me heal that up. Once at max attack, a Bullet Punch knocks him down. Gyarados does tank a hit, but Caesar's defense means that the risk is minimal. From here, well, you know the story. Caesar is set to Sport mode and throws its metal around like a prize fighter. With that, only Dialga stood before me. This battle would be tough and dangerous. I needed a proud bug to step forward and face the Time God. Wormadam, more like don't give a damn. Wormadam is the ideal candidate for 3 reasons. 1, its typing resists both Steel and Dragon. 2, its special defense nature will be needed to tank Dialga's special attacks. And 3, access to Quiver Dance gives me a chance to counterattack. On turn 1, Dialga hits me with a huge roar of time, but Wormadam holds strong. I set up a Quiver Dance, followed by a second one on the next turn as Dialga recharges. On the following turn, Protect helps me buy time while my leftovers gradually recovers my HP. Cycling Protect will be vital throughout this battle. This cycle carries on for a few turns, but in general, Dialga's damaging capability gradually declines as the special defense boost from Quiver Dance starts to accrue. Dialga got an Omni boost from Ancient Power, which scared me a little, but ultimately, I was able to max my speed, special attack, and special defense with Quiver Dance. Now at around half health, my only option was to begin attacking. Flash Cannon doesn't hit very hard, but the damage is noticeable. With Dialga's attacks barely able to scratch the surface of my Wormadam's trash cloak, eventually, I land a 5th Flash Cannon to finally pick up the KO. So there you go. Turns out a trash-covered Wormadam is more powerful than a Time God. Good to know. Full of confidence in my beloved bugs, I headed east along the Sinnoh coast to Sunny Shore City. This Fire-type trainer approaches me and I run for dear life. I'll be keeping my bugs as fire-free as possible for as long as possible. Volkner needs a little pick-me-up, and what better way to restore your confidence than to be handed a loss by a team consisting of only the weakest type. My strategy for this fight begins with Caesar, but not in the way that you might expect. Remember when I said, it has a great nature and knows Baton Pass? Well, this can be used to pass stat changes to other Pokemon in my party. So, I lead with Caesar and use 1 agility, boosting my speed. A Roost lets me recover the damage that I took from Volt Switch before using a Swords Dance. Next, I Baton Pass into Heracross, who is already burned, to activate its Guts ability. This combination allows Heracross to outspeed and utterly decimate Volkner's team with a string of Earthquakes. They never stood a chance. How'd that help with your enthusiasm, Volkner? It's another win for the bugs, and with that, I've now earned all 8 gym badges. I headed for Victory Road, where the trainers are tough, but I've got plenty of options in my team for dealing with just about anything. Well, except Fire types. I knew that this trainer had a Rapidash, I just forgot to switch my team around. Fortunately, Caesar barely lived a Flamethrower, allowing me to Baton Pass into Heracross. From here, it was able to get the job done with Earthquake. That was way too close for comfort though. The rest of Victory Road is smooth sailing as I cruise through the remaining battles. This brings me to the Pokemon League, where my bugs will be pushed to the absolute limit. But before that, Mortine stops me in my tracks and is looking to exterminate some bugs. His team is no joke, with coverage of fire and flying. Bad news. What's worse, his Staraptor has a Focus Sash, making it much harder to knock out cleanly. To play around this, I've taught Caesar Iron Defense through the Move Relearner. A few of these can max my defense, meaning that Staraptor's close combat will barely damage me. While my leftovers recovers my HP, I proceed with the usual setup of increasing my attack with Swords Dance, as well as my speed with Agility. I don't have any attacking moves, so I need to Baton Pass. I make sure to do this just as the harsh sunlight fades, as I know the AI will use another sunny day on the following turn. This lets me bring Heracross in cleanly, but I still need to tank a 4 times effective flying move since Staraptor's Focus Sash will let it survive a turn. Even with max defense, this still does big damage, but Heracross lives. Then on the next turn, a Brick Break finishes the job. With this setup, Heracross is a demigod and has absolutely no trouble in sweeping through the rest of Mortine's team. The Exterminator has become the Exterminated. But before I could challenge the Elite Four, I had something to take care of. Francis the Combi had made it through the entire run without needing to be sacrificed. For that, I decided to return to the tree that he was found and release Francis back to the hive. Take care, Francis. Thanks for the moral support. But for the rest of my bugs, we had the Pokemon League ahead of us. Honestly, I was proud of my bugs. I didn't think we'd make it this far, but here we are. This is the Elite Four. Aaron I can respect. He has good taste in Pokemon, but my bugs are far superior. His Dustox lead is bulky with limited offense. Caesar's immunity to poison means I can only be hit with a not very effective Bug Buzz. It's completely free to me to raise my speed with agility, followed by my offense with 2 Swords Dancers. A Baton Pass into Heracross is safe before a string of Aerial Aces can quickly wipe through the first 4 Pokemon. This region isn't big enough for 2 Bug Trainers. Last is Drapion, but my speed boost means that I'm faster, and 1 Earthquake takes it down. That's Aaron done. Bertha is a little trickier. Quagsire isn't the easiest to set up on, and her team has rock coverage which my bugs do not like. I lead with Wormadam and quickly set up Stealth Rock to nullify Golem's sturdy ability. Quagsire's best move against Wormadam is Earthquake, and I comfortably tank one. On the next turn, I know that Bertha is likely to use another one, which means I can safely switch into Beautifly, who is immune to Earthquake due to being a flying type. I made sure that Beautifly was burned before entering the Elite Four, as this means that Quagsire won't be able to use Toxic. In my eyes, it's much easier to live with a burn than it is to live with being badly poisoned. Quagsire can only hit me with Surf, so I begin to use Quiver Dance. As this raises my special defense, Surf's damage gradually falls. I use a Morning Sun to recover back to full HP, and intended to use another Quiver Dance, but pressed Giga Drain by mistake. It's 4 times effective, and Quagsire falls, but I needed to be at +3 to sweep. Sudowoodo is next, but goes down in 1 Giga Drain, as does Golem on the following turn. Whiscash is holding a Rindo Berry, and it's one of the Pokemon that I needed to be at +3 to take down. Fortunately, this Whiscash is a special attacker, and as my special defense is sky high, I used this opportunity to get my last Quiver Dance in. A Giga Drain on the next turn finishes Whiscash, even through its Rindo Berry. And the beauty of Giga Drain is that it also restores my HP. Last is Hippowdon, but a +3 Giga Drain is guaranteed to finish it off, giving me a much messier win than I intended. But Bertha isn't my biggest worry. Flint, on the other hand, is a huge problem. His team has lots of Fire-type coverage, and his Pokemon are ready to burn me up like a moth to a flame. I'm honestly horrified, and no doubt this is my biggest challenge yet. I lead with Skorupi. My whole team are holding Occa Berries, so Skorupi will live 1 Fire-type attack comfortably. I don't know why, but Rapidash tried Hypnosis, which fortunately missed. I set up the Rain with Rain Dance to weaken Fire-type attacks. Flint still refuses to use his Fire-type moves, but I can tank one if he does. I then set up 1 layer of Toxic Spikes, which will poison his grounded Pokemon on entry. I expected that I would have to sacrifice Skorupi at this point, but the AI just doesn't want to take me down. I burn turns by using Toxic and Scary Face. After setting up a second Rain Dance, I give up and just switch into Caesar. Toxic has Rapidash in healing range, which buys me 1 turn to set up Swords Dance. On the next turn, I use Agility, and the Rain lets me survive a second Flame Charge. With the Rain still up, a Baton Pass into Heracross is completely safe, and now the counterattack can begin. 1 boosted Earthquake can finish Rapidash, as well as the Lopunny that follows, and the Steelix after that. Drifblim barely survives a hit and uses Minimize, but this is irrelevant as my Aerial Ace can't miss. Then, for whatever strange reason, Flint Baton passes into Infernape, who I immediately knock to 1 HP. But at the end of the turn, the poison from Toxic Spikes finishes it off. 1 final Aerial Ace onto Drifblim gives me the win with what I can only describe as one of the strangest AI performances I have ever seen. Regardless, we take those. Flint's all burnt out. On to the next one. Lucy and Psychic types are much more comfortable for my bug Pokemon to deal with. His Mr. Mime lead is pretty passive, so I intend to use it to set up. Importantly, it sets up Reflect on turn 1. This will run for 8 turns as it's holding the Light Clay. I begin setting up with 3 Swords Dances to max my attack. With Roost keeping me healthy, I then also raise my speed with Agility. Then, on the very last turn of Reflect, I Baton Pass into Kricketune. With Reflect now over, and an insanely boosted bug in my arsenal, 1 X-Scissor can decapitate Mr. Mime. Alakazam follows, but with my speed boost, I'm faster and it gets the same treatment, as does Girafarig, as does Medicham. Bronzong is last, but I've included Night Slash in my moveset for this very moment, and one of these gets the job done. That's right, the Kricketot that I caught all the way back at the start of the run just swept the final member of the Elite Four. But it was too soon to celebrate. The final boss, Cynthia, still remains and her team is stacked. Can my little bugs take down the strongest trainer in Sinnoh? Well, let's find out. I lead with Kricketune and immediately use Sticky Web. This will lower the speed of Cynthia's Pokemon by 1 stage when they're sent out. This isn't part of my main strategy for the fight, but it's more of an insurance policy in case something goes wrong. Unfortunately, by setting this up, I am forced to sacrifice our beloved starter bug. Farewell, Kricketune. With this, I can start my real strategy. Spiritomb is a special attacker, so Wormadam is a good counter. It's got a plus special defense nature, and Quiver Dance can be used to buff my stats further. Cycling between this and Protect keeps my HP restored with leftovers. With little risk, Wormadam can max its special attack, special defense, and speed. With these insane stat buffs, 1 Giga Drain can take Spiritomb down. Cynthia sends in Gastrodon next, who is 4 times weak to grass, so it very quickly goes down too. I've included Psychic in Wormadam's moveset, and one of these removes Roserade, as well as the Lucario that follows. Milotic does manage to tank a Giga Drain, but it doesn't have enough offense to threaten Wormadam, and a second Giga Drain on the next turn finishes it off. Last is the big bad Garchomp, but you know how it goes. Wormadam don't give a damn. 2 Psychics are all that it takes to clean up Garchomp. With that, a team of the weakest type in all of Pokemon were able to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Almost everyone contributed, and I was definitely surprised by how strong my bug types were, especially once they learned some support moves. Were you surprised by the outcome? And who was your MVP of the run? Let me know in the comments below. Before you leave, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's totally free, but it really does help me out. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.